Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Happy Friday to you, man. Happy Friday. Hope you're having a good Friday so far. Couple more days, we'll be watching Super Bowl 59, Philadelphia Eagles versus Kansas City Chiefs, man. That ought to be exciting. As you file in, I ask that you hit the like button. I ask that you please hit the like button, man. We're trying to get these likes up, Go ahead and wait for a few minutes because this is live, man. This is live. As y'all can see, man, I'm actually, I'm in my kitchen, living room area. Yeah, man, doing a little cleaning this afternoon. Y'all know how it go, man, when you like ripping and running like all through the week. And then all of a sudden, like, man, you finally get an opportunity to kind of, clean up a little bit. So thought, man, I'll just hang out up in here, man, and do a podcast from here, man. And I want to talk a little bit about Drew Brees. Drew Brees, of course, took part in some interviews on Radio Row, being a part of Super Bowl 59. And, there was a lot of questions that was asked to Drew Brees. He was, plugging all these. He was plugging like all type of other activities that he had going on. And, the question came up about has he considered, coaching? And then, Reggie Bush came into the room and kind of got in on the conversation. He was on Kay Adams, and this is where it was said.
Thing to do with it, Reggie. Make your pitch. Shouldn't he take over at some point?
Listen, I would 100% be in full support.
Put me on the spot, kid.
I would also 100% want to coach with him.
Okay, hold on. Now we're
he already said it. He said he was with
one deal.
He said he was with
Listen, you're going to get your Tostitos at Aldi, and we've got two coaches for one. Saints, you're welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome. Would you guys coach together? Like, let's
absolutely.
1,000%. If I play with him, why wouldn't I coach with him?
So what's holding us back?
I just don't know if the league is ready for us right now.
One of the things,
Look at this. Look at you two. Come on.
How many, one of the things I think the NBA does a great job of is, I think they do a better job of hiring former players, right, as coaches. And they also, I feel like, make the path a little bit easier for former players to go and coach. I would love to see that same narrative play out for NFL, for former players, because I believe there's a ton of former players that would love to coach. It's just very hard to get into that coaching cycle and that coaching circle at the NFL level. Obviously, somebody like Drew and I think me wouldn't be as hard, but for other guys who may not have as big names, right? Dan Campbell did a great job. And so Dan Campbell's is an anomaly, though, right? It's not as easy for, to do what Dan Campbell is doing. And so I think Drew and me together would be great, but I think Drew specifically as a head coach would be awesome because of just the knowledge and amount of experience that he has. And to be able to bring that to an offense, to a quarterback, a young quarterback who's looking to take his career to the next level, this is exactly what you want. You want to learn from somebody who's done it. And for me, when I played, I always had more respect for coaches who played the game and who had done the things that they were coaching me to do, if that makes sense.
What an answer by Reggie Bush, man. What an answer by Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush, also a New Orleans Saints legend in his own right. Drew Brees and Reggie Bush, came to New Orleans the exact same year, and both of them are legendary figures. But, Drew Brees, he has had some coaching experience, coaching his son's team. Of course, we know a couple of years ago, he helped to coach his alma mater, Purdue, in that beatdown that they sustained at the hands of the LSU Tigers. But, it seems like, he has a passion for it. And, that kind of made his rounds, man, on social media. People are, kind of chiming in about Drew Brees. Should Drew Brees be a coach, And I had to really think about, like, would I want to see Drew Brees be a coach for the New Orleans Saints? Like, if that opportunity presented itself, like, let's just say, for example, like Kellen Moore wasn't, the top guy and the Saints needed a coach. Like, would I want to see Drew Brees be the head coach of the Saints? And my answer is, like, no, I wouldn't want to see Drew Brees be a head coach. And here's why. Like, before everybody jumped down my throat like, TJ, man, what's wrong with you? Look, number one, I think sometimes when we see people that are great, that are legendary, when they do it at such a high level, we just automatically just assume that they would be coaching material. Like they would have the goods in order for them to be able to get the team over the hump because of their greatness. What I've learned is the greater the player, the less of a leader they are when it comes to the coaching ranks. Like, yeah, you can probably find some guys like Deion Sanders, like he's doing a good job out there in Colorado. Like you can find some guys that have been like great players that ended up being good coaches, but they're very few and far in between. It's because I feel like there's a level of excellence it takes to be a great coach. It takes a level of excellence that, and patience. And I just think that when you are on the level of greatness, like if everybody's not like working as hard as you, grinding as hard as you, doing the little things to make themselves better like you did it, I just think that it will frustrate you. Like I've heard this all the time. When I would listen to Deion Sanders interviews, they asked him like, would he be interested in coaching professionally? And he was like, no. He's like, I probably would be getting in fights. He said, because I can't understand like why a guy wouldn't try to do everything in his power to be great. And the moment they start to get lax, they start to get lazy. I think that I would take exception to that. And then, that's number one. Number two is I've noticed that when a player, becomes a coach or, it always seems like if things don't go the right way, they lose all that good fortune that they had. And you may not feel this way now, but let's just say, for example, if Drew Brees was a head coach of the Saints, and let's just say like he wasn't very good at being a head coach. Like everybody would be looking at him like, man, what's wrong with him, man? They need to fire him, man. I love Drew, but they need to fire him. It's kind of the same way what it was with Dennis Allen. Like when Dennis Allen was the defensive coordinator of the Saints, nobody had a problem with him. Nobody had an issue with Dennis Allen because he was good at what he did, right? He was a good defensive coordinator. He put the Saints in the right position to succeed defensively. But the moment he became the head coach, like all that goodwill that he developed over the course of time by being a defensive coordinator, all of that went out of the window. And it's like, get this dude out of my face. Now it's like nobody really talks about Dennis Allen as one of the best defensive coordinators the Saints have ever had in their history. They talk about him like, man, get that bum out of my face. So all I'm saying is, like, I wouldn't want that for Drew unless I know that Drew Brees will come in and that will bring a bunch of winning and championships here. I wouldn't want that. I just think if he was to like go coach somewhere else, then I think that would be more understandable. Like, okay, if it doesn't pan out, but I just think that if it didn't pan out, him being a head coach, I think he would lose all the goodwill. I think a part of his legacy will kind of be tarnished. Like now, if we're talking about like on a coaching staff, like as the coaching capacity, maybe like a quarterback's coach, assistant offensive coordinator, something like that. Like I can understand that. Like I feel like maybe he'll be able to thrive in that role. But as far as like a head coach, I wouldn't want that. And then, I don't feel like that. I don't know if that would be like a good fit. I think that he would be a great mentor to a young, promising quarterback, to a young, promising offensive player. I think that he would be really good in that role. But as far as like, want him to be a head coach, no, not for the Saints. Because like I said, it's completely different, man. It would be completely different. If things don't pan out, then the next thing you know, like people will be looking at Drew Brees differently. Like you may not want to believe that now, but we get really emotional when it comes to the wins and losses, and you get really emotional when it comes to who's coaching your football team. And if it doesn't pan out, you don't care who it is. Like, man, get them up out of here. So I wouldn't want that. But I wouldn't, have an issue. I would want to see Drew Brees be a part of the coaching staff in some capacity. I think that he has a lot to bring to the table. I think he has a lot to offer. And hopefully the New Orleans Saints maybe, you know, talk to him. You know, if Kellen Moore ends up being a head coach and all signs indicate that he will, you know, I would solicit the help of Drew Brees. I think that would be a morale booster, and I think that would be something that some of these young quarterbacks would actually be excited about, as well as the team. So that's my thoughts on the whole Drew Brees situation. I got a couple more topics I want to talk about. I want to talk about the NFL honors. If you're watching this live on a Friday, we got to talk about the NFL honors for a few minutes, man, in the way that I feel when it comes to Cam Jordan not getting the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Like, what in the world was going on with that? But I do want to pause for a second to answer some of your questions and your comments. But first, I want to acknowledge the sponsor of the State of the Saints podcast. Been rocking with them the entire 2024 NFL season, and we're going to be rocking with them throughout the month of February as well. BETUS. Sign up today. Get up to 150% on your first deposit and up to 125% on your second and third deposit, up to $2,000. Use that promo code YouTube150. That's YouTube150. All right, so make sure that you check that out. Also, want to go to the likes, man, because I see right now that we have 124 people watching this, and we only have 14 likes right now. Well, excuse me, 13 likes. So if you can be so kind to hit the like button while you're watching this video, I would really appreciate that, man. It will help you know, us to grow as a community, and I would really appreciate that for real. All right. But let me go ahead and answer some of your questions, and then we'll get into the talk about Cam Jordan being snubbed, in my opinion. Okay, in my opinion. But I'll make sure I get into that. Let's see. Nola Ant says quarterbacks coach, yeah, but head coach, no, sir. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Drew Brees in that role. You know, unless I know Drew Brees about to win 3-4 championships. Then after that, I think, you know, you talk about him being great now, like, man, he will have a statue in the middle of the city. Like, you going down Canal Street, boom, Drew Brees statue right there. Let's see. No, not as head coach. He doesn't have coaching experience. Yeah, I mean, but man, what's that stopping people today? You know, like a lot of coaches now these days don't have coaching experience and they get high profile jobs, especially like in the NBA and stuff like that. Like, you don't even have to have coaching experience. Like, we seen JJ Redick like just come off, you know, the TV screen, and now he's sitting on the bench being a coach of the Lakers. And Jason Kidd, like 1 year after he retired, he ended up becoming a head coach. So does that even really matter? I think right now, like, teams and organizations are so fixated on press clippings, headlines, right? You know, big splashes. Like, you know, who can we bring in to try to, you know, make the fan base excited? Who can we bring in to get the news buzzing? You know, like it don't even have to really pan out like that. I know y'all remember a couple of years ago, Jeff Saturday was on television. He was on First Take and Get Up and all these other shows. And then Jim Irsay, he ends up firing their head coach, Frank Reich. And then Jeff Saturday just comes off TV and becomes the interim coach, like for no rhyme, no reason or nothing. But everybody was talking about it. And I just feel like that's the wave now. Everybody's trying to make a splash. Everybody's trying to get people excited about something. It doesn't even have to work. It just, you know, has to create headlines. So that's the way I feel about it. Roderick, thank you very much for the $5. Say, yo, what's up? When are you coming back to NOLA? Well, you know, I plan on coming back really soon, man. You know, especially like probably some, you know, during the off season. Definitely want to get down there like during training camp. You know, I'm really excited about that, man. Really excited about it. Let's see. Great players in a lot of cases do not have the patience other coaches would have, says J Rock. Yeah, they don't have the patience, you know, especially like when you great. Like when you great, the only thing that you focus on is trying to be even greater. You know, you're gonna work hard. If you're running, if there's a chance that you can run faster, you're trying to do that. If there's a way that you can throw further, you're trying to do that. Like you're trying to do everything in your power to make sure that you're great. And you don't understand when a person doesn't really want to put in that work. So I just think that I think there's a disconnect because they're so great. one of the assistants for the Saints coaching staff. Yeah, something like that. PG, I respect your opinion, but I don't think Brees should be a GM. I don't know if he can handle. I don't think. Yeah, and something like that. No, like I said, man, we look at people as being great actors, great players, great people in general, right? And we just like, man, that person will be a good fit for that, but that don't mean that they're a good fit for every particular position. Like that person was great at that particular thing. Doesn't mean that they're going to be great at this thing and that thing. Now, I will say this. We have seen former players get into a GM role and do a really good job. Like John Lynch out for the 49ers has done a really good job, right? Upshaw, for the Ravens, like has done like a really, really great job with them. You know what I'm saying? Like all these different people that have worked with different organizations. They've done like a really, really good job. Like when they step away from football and they start like doing things in a post football life. You got some guys that stuff would kind of work for, but I don't know if that's going to actually work or not, you know what I'm saying, in that regard. But, it's not to say that it can't. Like we've seen like former players, like, take those steps and, do a really good job at that. So, but, I wouldn't, if the Saints want to give that a try, I mean, I don't think that would be the worst thing in the world. Like, I feel like Drew Brees is like a really intelligent guy. Like he's been a part of the player association and all that kind of stuff, so, they try to get those guys that are, long time players, individuals that are in good standings, but, standing up for your players is one thing. Trying to make sure that your salary is on point and getting the right players is another. Did you see next year Drew is eligible for the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I mean, it is a foregone conclusion. I'm saying this right now. Like, you might as well go ahead and book your ticket to Canton right now. Like if Drew Brees is not a first ballot Hall of Famer, y'all need to go ahead and shut that joint down. Like, seriously, like, what are we talking about here? Like, some of them other guys you got to squint about, not Drew Brees. Like, if you're a Saints fan, go ahead and book your ticket right now. Like, seriously, like, book your ticket to Canton. Get that rent a car, you know what I'm saying? Get like any way that you can to get the Canton, go ahead and do it. Like, I ain't never been to the Hall of Fame game. I'm even thinking about going out there. Like, I'm serious. I'm even thinking about going to the Hall of Fame ceremony, because I mean, he's going. Like, there's two people that are eligible for the Hall of Fame next year, and I know for a fact they're getting in. There's not a doubt in my mind. Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald. If Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald are not in the Hall of Fame in 2026, shut that joint down. Shut it down. Book your Canton tickets right now. Because there's not a doubt in my mind that Drew Brees won't be a first ballot Hall of Fame. He will be a first ballot Hall of Fame. There's not a doubt in my mind that if that happens. If that happens, man, shut it down. Shut it down. There's not a doubt in my mind that won't happen. He will be a Hall of Fame. He will be a first ballot Hall of Fame. Go ahead and get your tickets ready right now, folks. I don't know what the hotel rate's going right now, but I'm pretty sure if you book right now, you can get yourself a really good deal because it's going to happen. Let's see. Right now, Kellen Moore, the top choice for the next Saints head coach. Yeah, he is. And I think there's a lot of people getting excited about it. Shouts out to Mike Triplett and Nick Underhill, man. It's like they like the dude's shadow right now. Like, they follow him around Radio Row. They definitely trying to get everything that is needed to figure, what Saints fans want to know about Kellen Moore. And, they really trying to find out, who he is as a person, because they pretty much know this is going to happen. Look, I don't see a reason why that wouldn't happen. I mean, come on, man. Just read between the lines. Like, if it wasn't going to be Kellen Moore, we would have heard something by now. So the Saints are just waiting for Kellen Moore to finish up what he's doing on Sunday. And then I'm pretty sure on Monday, sometime in the morning or sometime in the afternoon, it will be announced that Kellen Moore is the head coach of the New Orleans Saints. And then they'll probably have a press conference like around Friday. But of course, like the Saints want to make sure that tampering isn't involved and all that kind of stuff, which I understand because you don't want to lose any draft picks, need more. So, you know, I'm pretty sure on Monday we all gonna hear that story come out. Let's see. Drew and Larry Fitzgerald both locked for first ballot Hall of Fame next year. Yep. Not a doubt in my mind. Like if Larry Fitzgerald and Drew Brees not in your Hall of Fame, just go ahead and close the doors. But speaking of Hall of Fame, of course, that stuff is announced at NFL honors that took place at the Sanger Theater, a legendary spot in New Orleans. I remember going to the Nutcracker, falling asleep in elementary school many years. Every year we used to go to the Sanger Theater to the Nutcracker, and I'm talking about, man, best sleep you ever gonna get in your life. But anyway, the Sanger Theater, that's where the NFL honors was. Couple things happened that was a surprise to absolutely no one. Jaden Daniels winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, which was a shock to no one. In my opinion, Jared Verse winning Defensive Player of the Year wasn't a shock to anyone. At least it shouldn't have been. I know some people had their problems with Josh Allen winning MVP. I don't. I don't. I think that he showed that he was the most valuable player after you lose Gabe Davis, after you lose Stephon Diggs, and you're basically doing it with the next wave of wide receivers like Shakur and Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid, and like you got Amari Cooper, but he wasn't the Amari Cooper we're used to seeing. So I have no problem with that, man. I enjoy actually watching Josh Allen play. For those that rock with this show, they know my son Paxton, my 5-year-old son. He loves the Buffalo Bills, man, and Josh Allen is his favorite quarterback. He loves watching the Buffalo Bills. So anytime I'm strolling the television and I'm looking and I see the Buffalo Bills, he wants me to stop. So I've been watching quite a bit of Buffalo Bills football games. So I didn't have an issue with him winning MVP. But this was the shocker. Like maybe I was the only person that felt this way. Maybe you did too. Were you shocked that they only had 4 new members of the Hall of Fame? They only had 4. They only had 4 members of the 2025 class of the Hall of Fame. Only 4 people. But it also made me feel old because I actually watched them dudes play in a prime. And some of those guys, I seen them play from start to finish, like Antonio Gates. I seen their career from start to finish. But yeah, only 4 guys. I mean, Antonio Gates, Eric Allen, Sterling Sharp, and Jared Allen. First off, no disrespect to Eric Allen. No disrespect to him at all. But you're not about to tell me that he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame more than a Reggie Wayne. And you're not going to tell me that Jari Evans shouldn't have been in the Hall of Fame. This guy was a multi-time All-Pro, and I'm not just saying this because he played for the Saints. He was one of the best guards of his generation. And he pretty much never missed a game. He was always out there, man. So I ain't understand this, man. I don't. I thought that was a perfect time, to put Jari Evans in the Hall of Fame or Reggie Wayne. 2 guys that, synonymous with New Orleans. And normally they would do something like that. And I guess I know why they put Eric Allen in, probably because he played started his career with the Eagles, and of course the Eagles are in the Super Bowl, and he also played for the Saints. So I guess you can look at that as a Saints player going into the Hall of Fame. But Eric Allen wasn't very good for the Saints. He played some of his best ball with Philly. You got kind of the little residue of Eric Allen, when he went to the Saints. But Jari Evans should have been in the Hall of Fame. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what's taking so long. Man deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Reggie Wayne deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. He caught just as many passes, and he was just as important to the Indianapolis Colts offense as my guy Marvin Harrison was. And look, man, you looking at somebody that pretty much like idolized Marvin Harrison. Like I wanted to be like Marvin Harrison on the football field. Right now, all that rest of that stuff they be talking about, I ain't talking about that. But all I'm saying is, like, on the field, like, I wanted to be Marvin Harrison, his route running, like the quiet demeanor, just was about his business. But Reggie Wayne was that guy. He like there was a 1A. And Reggie Wayne deserved to be that. And Jari Evans definitely deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, but only 4 guys. Now, I'm not going to poo-poo on Sterling Sharpe, because to me, Sterling Sharpe, he belonged in the Hall of Fame. And I can understand, like, that was one of those players like from back in the day. And it's so crazy, man. Like I said, man, it just tells you that you're getting older, because Sterling Sharpe is looked at as like one of them throwback players. Like, you ever like watch the Hall of Fame and then all of a sudden, like, God bless him, but there's this older guy, probably in his 70s or 80s or 60s or something like that, come, walking gingerly up on the stage, and you don't really recognize who they are. It's kind of like what Sterling Sharpe was, to this younger generation. Like, they probably wondering like who that was, but he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame, man. Like, a lot of people don't look at like Sterling Sharpe's number. Like, Sterling Sharpe's career was cut short due to a neck injury. But if he would have stayed playing, man, like his numbers was like right there with Jerry Rice. And some people even thought that he was better than Jerry Rice. And man, a couple of years, I agree. Like, I remember I was a young kid watching him. Like, I used to enjoy watching Tim Brown, Sterling Sharpe, and McCoy Jerry Rice. So I can understand that, man. And you can tell it meant a lot to Shannon Sharpe to be able to tell his brother he was going into the Hall of Fame. Like, we all remember that famous speech by Shannon Sharpe where he basically pleaded with the committee to consider his brother in his work. So finally, I guess they listened. But 4 guys going into the Hall of Fame, like, Antonio Gates deserves it. Jarrett Allen, deserves it as well. But I don't know, man. There's some guys out there who got some Super Bowl rings and multi-time All-Pros that, to me, got snubbed. I mean, you like 4. Like, man, you can at least put 5 or 6. Now, I could play devil's advocate here and say, okay, they only allow 4 guys in. Like, they trying to bring back credibility to the Hall of Fame, because a lot of people just feel like, everybody getting in. So by only including 4 guys, it just tells you like how big of an honor that it actually was. So let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and then we'll get into the Walter Payton Man of the Year. It says DeMar Hamlin should have been the comeback player of the year. Shaking my head. Wow, at least last year, no way. Flacco, who played 6 games, should have won it over Hamlin, who beat death. I agree with that. Now, I agree. I was shocked. That they didn't give that to DeMar Hamlin. The moment dude stepped on the field and played football again after what happened to him, he became the comeback player of the year. Like, I've seen guys do less, you know what I'm saying, and ended up being like the comeback player of the year. Guys that end up sitting on the bench and they finally get an opportunity to start, they become comeback player of the year. Like you said with Joe Flacco, which I don't understand. Like, I know, like, no disrespect to Joe Burrow. Joe Shiesty is the truth. And yes, he did deal with an injury, but everybody kind of knew who Joe Burrow was. Like, there was no shock that Joe Burrow was going to come back and play at a high level. He's Joe freaking Burrow. He's been good since he stepped foot in the NFL. Since he was at LSU, he's been a dog. So that wasn't a surprise to anybody. It's like giving Tom Brady or Drew Brees the comeback player of the year if they miss some games. Like, that just didn't make much sense to me. And also it didn't make much sense to me is the Coach of the Year award. Like, you got Andy Reid in a category and you don't give it to Andy Reid. How do you not give, like, they did better not even acknowledging Andy Reid. Like, how are you telling me that Kevin O'Connell, like, good job, 14 wins, they ain't nothing to poo-poo at. 14 wins in a regular season, but you lose in the playoffs. But he's better than Andy Reid, whose team is in the Super Bowl. Now, I understand like how that goes with the whole coach of the year thing. Like they normally like give it to those young coaches, the ones that show promise, and they kind of look past like those veteran coaches. But come on, man. If you're gonna put like that made no sense. And to me, it took away credibility from that award. Like you don't put Andy Reid up there. Like you just don't. Like, look, we know that Andy Reid is a great coach. We not going to include him in this. Just like you do better trying to like reword this or something like this, or like try to make it make sense. How can Kevin O'Connell, who is sitting there to accept the award, be better and should win coach of the year over the coach that's coaching in the Super Bowl, who team had the best record in the NFL? Like you did better not even putting Andy Reid up there. You did better not even putting him up there. That didn't make any type of sense. Kind of like the year when they let Leroy Butler in. He was really good, but not Canton good. Yeah, man, it just, man, it's so many different dudes on this list. Let me see if I can actually go and check it out. See who was a Hall of Fame finalist, man. Like I said, I don't have an issue with Antonio Gates. That's deserving. Jared Allen, that's kind of questionable in my opinion. That's kind of that's kind of questionable. What I'm doing right now, man, I'm just trying to pull up like the list of individuals. Like people was talking about Eli Manning. I don't think Eli Manning should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, so I wasn't really like too upset about that. I think that, a lot of people like look at the fact that, he played in 2 Super Bowls, 2 of those Super Bowls, he beat Tom Brady. But I mean, outside of that, like, I can't say that Eli Manning is a first ballot. Like he'll get in eventually, I think that maybe a few more years are going to pass by. But I'm just looking at this list, man. Let me go ahead and I'll put it up on the screen for so y'all can actually see it as well. But yeah, I'm just looking at this list, man. They talking about of the modern era finalists. So these are the finalists. Okay, so Eric Allen, who ended up going in, Jared Allen, who ended up going in, Willie Anderson, played from 96 to 2007. Jari Evans, like I said, man, Jari Evans, Antonio Gates, Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly. A lot of people just felt like maybe he ain't played long enough, but I think he had a resume that's probably better than some of these guys that played longer than he did. Eli Manning, Steve Smith Sr., Terrell Suggs, Fred Taylor, Adam Vinatieri. Like, come on, man. Adam Vinatieri. You're telling me Adam Vinatieri don't belong in the Hall of Fame? Like, we kind of like look past kickers and stuff like that, but Adam Vinatieri deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. How many? There was one year, I want to say it was maybe the first, maybe second Super Bowl that the Patriots won. Like people was like really having a conversation like, should Adam Vinatieri like be up for the MVP or something like that? Like that's how clutch dude was. And not to mention like he had a complete second NFL life when he was with the coach. So I don't know, man. I don't know what we're doing, man. I don't know what we're doing here. Darren Woodson, he's been on the list for I don't know how long. Marshall Yarner, the guard for the Baltimore Ravens, who played for a long time too. So me personally, I'm looking at Reggie Wayne. I'm looking at Adam Vinatieri. I'm looking at Jari Evans. I don't know, man. And then, I look at Jared Allen. I think he had a great career, like a great career. But I've seen they got guys that's not in the Hall of Fame right now that did way more than what he did on the football field. He had that monster, career, like a couple years with the Minnesota Vikings. But I don't know, man. I think they dropped the ball here. Let me look at Jared Allen's stats. Let me look at Jared Allen's stats. All right, so he's 42 years old. He's a 4-time first-team All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL sack leader, 2007, 2011. He had 136 sacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I've seen, like, you know, a couple more guys that you know, had over 100 sacks in the National Football League, you know, end up getting snubbed. Like I said, I've seen guys that have more, like, that have these All-Pros that still sit on the outside looking in. But, you know, I guess I can just let that slide. But I'm not upset about Luke Kuechly. I think more than likely Luke Kuechly will probably get in, if not next year, then a year after that. Like, if, you know, they seem like they looking at guys that didn't play as long, like Sterling Sharp, Terrell Davis. You know, he got in, didn't have a real long career. So, but, man, they got to put my boy Jari Evans in there. And something has got to be seriously wrong. Look, something got to be wrong. Drew Brees ain't in that Hall of Fame. That's all I got to say. Now, I look, book your Canton tickets now. That's all I got to say. Adam Vinatieri was one game-winning field goal against the Rams and the Panthers in the Super Bowl. Yeah, like, he was like, man, Adam Vinatieri was – a lot of people, like, don't realize this. Adam Vinatieri was the reason why the Patriots beat the Raiders. Like, we get so wrapped up in that whole, like, tuck rule type, you know, game or whatever. Like, what did Charles Woodson sack Tom Brady? Was it a fumble? But what a lot of people don't realize is Adam Vinatieri kicked one of the most clutch field goals that you ever gonna see. Like, it was a blizzard on that thing. Like, it was a blizzard. And this man, like, kicked the ball through the snow, like 40-plus yard field goal to send them, I want to say, to the AFC Championship game. It wasn't for like the Super Bowl or anything like that. That was a divisional round game. But a lot of people get wrapped up in the whole tuck rule thing. And, you know, what Adam Vinatieri did out there in that blizzard, like, kind of takes a back seat. But they ain't winning that game if it wasn't for Adam Vinatieri. They not beating the Carolina Panthers in the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Adam Vinatieri. Adam Vinatieri deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Not too many special teams guys, punters and kickers going to have me lobbying for them like that. But dude deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. You definitely shouldn't put a kicker in over any real football player. I 100% agree with you to a certain extent. I do. I agree with you to a certain extent. There are sometimes there are guys who come in, to me, they revolutionize the position from, you know what I'm saying, like just being great, being consistent. I know he's not the most popular guy right now, but Justin Tucker would be somebody that should be considered as a, you know, first ballot as a kicker. And Alan Vinatieri is one of them, you know what I'm saying, that they should consider too. Like I said, there's not many of them. Like special teams players, so to speak, right? Like Devin Hester going into the Hall of Fame. Like, Devin Hester wasn't a great wide receiver. Like, he was just one heck of a kick return, like the best. Like, arguably the best of all time. Some people say he is the best of all time. So there, like, certain people like that did extraordinary things at a certain position that doesn't really get that much recognition. Like Steve Tasker or something, like great special teams ace. Like I wouldn't be upset with that. Like, some guys just like they just revolutionize their position. Like, they're so great at it that it's not something that people necessarily pay attention to often, but they just transcend it. Like, Justin Tucker is one, and Adam Vinatieri from his longevity, his clutch kicks, and, you know, like those moments. Like, you ain't winning Super Bowls if it wasn't for this dude. You ain't winning playoff games in some cases if it wasn't for him. So yeah, I agree with what you're saying, but a few individuals you have to make that exception for, and Adam Vinatieri is one of them. Here's my question about Coach of the Year. How did Andy Reid and Sean Payton was in the Coach of the Year conversation, but not Mike Tomlin and Jim Harbaugh? Like, what the F? Sean Payton was in it because he went to the playoffs with a rookie quarterback. Andy Reid was in it because they actually in the Super Bowl. Mike Tomlin probably wasn't in it because I couldn't answer that question. Man, if I can just put my finger on it, probably because of the narrative. That's it. Like, man, these awards are probably like they're about narratives, man. Like, seriously, they're about narratives. Like, it's about, like, the NFL sometimes has a way of creating stories. Like, to me, like creating these stories where, oh, such and such overcame so much adversity in order for them to get it, or if it's a great player and we don't want this player to not leave with something. Like, I'm leaving with something. Like, it's something like that. Like, you had enough built up credibility. They have a way of kind of, smoothing things towards you. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. So I would say, like, the narrative of him getting bounced out of the playoffs, like not having a losing season, but getting bounced out of the playoffs. If you notice, that's the narrative. So I would say that it's probably the narrative that's going around about Mike Tomlin. But Sean Payton doing it with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, Andy Reid in the Super Bowl. I would say I don't know why Jim Harbaugh ain't in it, to be honest with you. I don't know. I couldn't answer that one. Let's see. I honestly think that Drew Brees should be the owner of the New Orleans Saints. Mickey, we can't fire him because there's no one to replace him with the Saints. Even be in New Orleans is the question. Well, look, they can find somebody to replace Mickey Loomis. All right, they can find somebody to replace him now. They got upper management up there that can make those decisions. That trump anything that he can do. But look, I don't think that Drew Brees needs to be the owner of the Saints. I don't think he has to do that to be involved. I think that if they ask Drew Brees, he loves the organization enough that he'll probably sign on to be a coach in some capacity or some type of consultant. I can see him doing that. I think that Drew Brees, he has this incredible life outside of football, putting up these pickleball places and these food chains and all these other things that he has going on. But that doesn't replace your first love, which is football. Like, you want to be around it in some capacity. So I'm pretty sure that if they ask him to be some type of consultant, I'm pretty sure that he would answer the call. I'm pretty sure he would be. Saints just need winners in the building, even if it's the top-rated ball boy. I agree. They need winners. I just think that the culture is starting to shift a little bit in a direction that none of us wanted to go. I think that we all want this team to be successful, but I just think that you have to get away from this passive-aggressive approach. You got to get away from it, man. That's the only way that you're going to be able to find success. You need that alpha dog that brings that energy, that brings that juice. And I just feel like that's something that was missing. Like, I was over the last couple of days looking at interviews with Sean Payton. And look, whether you're a big fan of Sean Payton right now or not, like, you can see why the city, like, rallied around him. You can see why the Saints were so successful when he was the coach. Because, like, he has this like domineering personality, and he's sitting up there like having conversations with Mark Ingram and Cam Jordan, and they're laughing about some of the tough decisions that he had to make. And they understood like where the buck started and stopped with. They understand where where it started and where it ended, and it was with Sean Payton. I'm just a little bit nervous that they don't want to, maybe they don't want another like Sean Payton type of coach, but I'm thinking you need somebody with that type of personality. Don't necessarily have to be Sean, but have a personality where everybody knows where the line is drawn, who is calling the shots. I don't know if you're going to get that with Kellen Moore. I think you're going to probably get some sophisticated football, probably some excitement in the Superdome because he's a good offensive mind. But I'm just wondering, like, they probably are going to need somebody that's going to be able to, like, have that aggressive approach. I know they're probably going to bring in Brandon Staley as the defensive coordinator if Kellen Moore is with him. So Brandon Staley, the former coach of the Chargers, better defensive mind that you're going to find out here. This that's available right now, probably the best. But I'm questioning, like, the personality of this team. Like, who's going to be that guy that is going to be able to be in the front of the room and command the attention? Like, I think that Kellen Moore is going to, get people to play for him because he's intelligent. But I'm just wondering what's going to happen during adverse times. And that was my biggest concern, even with Dennis Allen, because I'm like, look, when things go awry, what's going to happen? Like, who's going to stand up in front of the room and be like, hey, man, look, we need to do this. And we see, like, when things were good, everybody was cool. But when things start to unravel, there was nobody to kind of bring it back into the center and get people focused. Guys were just basically doing their own thing. You had a couple guys over here willing to talk. Other guys were leaving the locker room. Like, that ain't going to be a good look. So they're going to have to figure something out there. Kurt Warner stocking groceries to win the Super Bowl was one they ran with for a while and even made a movie. Yeah, that movie was actually pretty good, man. That movie was actually pretty good. I checked it out. Look, man, Kurt Warner, man, great individual, great human being. Like, that is not a facade, like a really great human being. And that's the type of person, like, that a rags to riches story is. They should have made a movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, he deserved that. He deserved the book. And when good things happen to people like that, man, you have a tendency of cheering and admiring it. So yeah, I mean, Kurt Warner was a really good quarterback in his day. I mean, he took, like, two organizations that were struggling and made them contenders. Like, he was, like, on the doorstep of bringing a championship to Arizona. I can remember that, man. That was 2008. I was staying in Dallas at the time, and I can just remember, man, Larry Fitzgerald, like, running that 70-plus yard touchdown, looking at himself on the screen, and I'm like, man, they really about to do this. And then Ben Roethlisberger throws one of the most clutch passes to the right side of the back right side of the end zone you ever seen. And one heck of a catch by Santonio Holmes. I mean, bruh, if that's how you lose, like, I'm okay with that. Like, Ben Roethlisberger, I guarantee you, if game was on the line, Ben Roethlisberger wouldn't have been able to make that throw like he did in that moment. Like, the degree of difficulty of that throw and that catch, unbelievable, man. But I mean, if I'm gonna lose, like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Now, I'm not okay with them driving down the field on me like that. But I mean, that was a good game. I was actually rooting for Arizona to win that football game because you wanted to see the underdogs win the Super Bowl and be a champion and all that kind of stuff. And then, lo and behold, who would have thought the next year the New Orleans Saints, another underdog, would have won the Super Bowl and actually pulled it off. So, rest in peace, Virginia Hallis McCaskey, very sweet lady. Yeah, I mean, Virginia Hallis, I believe she is the daughter of George Hallis, I assume, because I mean, George Hallis owned the Chicago Bears for a very, very long time, so I would assume that is his daughter. Yeah, man, I mean, the Hallis family is synonymous with NFL and sports, and definitely the Bears organization, man. I mean, they up there with the Ronies, man, as that legendary family, the Ford family with the Detroit Lions, like legendary family owning an NFL franchise. So yeah, and I mean, we all know what George. Well, if you don't know, feel free to go take a look. Definitely in the archives of the NFL about George Hallis and who he was, and yeah, man. I mean, rest in peace to her. The Mickey Loomis that we have seen in the last couple of years has caused me to revisit Sean Payton's exit from the team. I think a lot of people I think a lot of people have, especially like the way Sean Payton is talking about the Saints now. Like, man, Sean Payton doesn't really talk about the New Orleans Saints like a coach that decided that he just left and it was just time for a new challenge or something. Like, it's almost like he talks about them like tongue in cheek, like he knew they was going to unravel like without him or something like that. Like, it's like almost like he speaks in a way it's like, oh, I told you so. Like, I knew that was gonna happen. Like, and it just I don't know, man. It just makes you wonder, like, was there more behind him leaving than we thought? Like, was there something that he felt like he needed to have at that time? And like and they ain't won't give it to him. I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering. Let's see. I'm going to be honest with you, TJ. I was almost a Cardinals fan. Well, look, I think a lot of people were Cardinals fans during that playoff run. Like people wanted to see Arizona pull it off. Like they wanted to see Arizona pull it off. I mean, you had Kurt Warner. People just kind of looked at him like, oh man, you do wash. Then on top of that, like he wasn't even supposed to be in that role. He was kind of like just signed to be like that mentor he was to Eli Manning. Because if you looked at him for the Giants, it looked like he was, on borrowed time. Like he was just supposed to be there to kind of be that bridge quarterback for Eli. And then, he helped Eli. And then they sent him to Arizona because at the time they had Matt Leinart. And Matt Leinart was supposed to be like, his little pupil and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, like the light came on. I don't know if it was, the fact he was wearing them gloves or what, man. But Kurt Warner was spinning that joint. And Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, man, Darnell Dockett on the defensive side of football, man, them boys had a squad, man. And, I wanted to see them win. And they were close. They were close, man. What about Fitzgerald, TJ? I think he needs to be in it too, and James Harrison. Oh, man, no doubt about it, Mad Drum. Like, I don't know if you just came in, but I said two people that are first ballot Hall of Famers. And if they're not in the Hall of Fame in 2026, like, go ahead and shut the whole thing down. And that's Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald. Like, if they're not in the Hall of Fame, you don't need one. You don't need one. Like, while we try to figure out, who needs to be in there, those are two guys that, without a shadow of a doubt, they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. No doubt about that, man. We got 186 people watching this right now. And we got 65 likes, man. Come on, man. Let's get them likes up. Please, if you're watching this right now, please hit the like button. It will help the channel to grow. Let's see. Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald are my all-time favorites. They're going to be first ballot Hall of Famers. Yeah, no doubt about that. Well said, bro. Quarterbacks coach great. Head coach may tarnish his legacy if it doesn't work out. I do believe it would be a plus to have him on the Saints staff in some capacity. I agree. Like, I just think that when you start conjoining yourself to a head coach, especially a team where you basically are a deity, like he's a football deity in the eyes of Saints fans. Like, that's who Drew Brees is. I think you messing with legacy when you going up in here dipping in water that you ain't used to dipping in. You get what I'm saying? And I just think that you would do more to hurt your legacy than help it. Because the only thing that can help you or make it better if you winning 1 or 2 Super Bowls. Then I feel like, man, okay, if you're doing something like that, you coming in winning like that, then, like, man, they're just going to add on to it. Like I mentioned earlier, like they will put a statue in the middle of Canal Street for you. Like, he already going to get a statue. It's only a matter of time, right? We just trying to figure out where we going to put it. But you'll get a statue, like I'm talking about, right smack dab in the middle of Canal Street. Not over there on Poydras Street next to Tom Benson, like, nah. But, unless you about to go out here and really make some noise, really about to win multiple Super Bowls or exceed what you've done as a player, I wouldn't do it. That's risky business right there. That's risky. Scroll down a little bit. Matt Drum says, TJ, I've seen a post that said they need to just get rid of the Pro Bowl and they need to have a game between the bottom two teams to get the number one draft pick. Not a bad idea at all. Look, I don't even watch the Pro Bowl. It's a joke at this point. Guys sitting around there playing dodgeball and flag football, which, I don't have a problem with. My boy playing flag football, and it seems the popularity of flag football is at an all-time high. I mean, you had two young kids. Congratulations to them. End up winning flag football players of the year for their respective sports. So, I mean, I can understand all that, but at the same time, man, these are professional athletes here. I would rather you not even have a game, right? I mean, because it's a joke. Like they up there like playing dodgeball and jumping on little foam and stuff like that, little bouncy houses. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, what was I wanted like, okay, so it was on Sunday. So, after church, I ended up going out with my family and stuff like that. And I see it on the TV and I'm like, man, this looks so ridiculous. Like, it looks ridiculous. And then on top of that, it's like, it don't even mean anything anymore. Like, I'll give an example. Why in God's name is Drake May in a Pro Bowl? Why? Like, what has Drake May done? Drake May didn't even start this season. Jacoby Brissett was the starting quarterback for the Patriots for at least about 3 or 4 games. Then Drake May came in, did a few little things, didn't get concussed. Like, what has he done? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why we can't get so fixated on some of these decisions, because a lot of this stuff is about narratives. It's about creating a narrative. It's about elevating guys. Like, it's a business at the end of the day. You need those young players to be that next generation. Like, that's why you're seeing more of the focal point on Jaden Daniels and Drake May, right? Because they're the next generation. As the Patrick Mahomes, like, kind of catapult into that Tom Brady, Drew Brees type realm where, their games are going to be the ones that come on prime time more often than not, and the Josh Allens and the Lamars. You need that next wave, right? The Caleb Williams, the Jalen Hurts, the guys like that, that's been in the league for a short period of time to pick up that banner, right? That's what this is. This guy didn't deserve to be in no Pro Bowl. Like, I can think of a bunch of guys. I mean, I seen Tyler Huntley out there. What? Like, Tyler Huntley, like, got bounced around like that dodgeball they was throwing at each other. Like, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, yeah, like, if we gonna do this thing, let's do it right or not do it at all. Let's just look at it like how you do all pro, right? Oh, you made the Pro Bowl, right? No game, no nothing. You're a Pro Bowler, okay? We selected this because you had a really good season, right? And you're a Pro Bowler, so that just attach it to you. It don't even, like, it used to be back in the day when you were a Pro Bowler, it actually meant something. Now it's just like, okay, man, you want to play in a Pro Bowl? Nah. Okay. Hello, you want to play in a Pro? Nah, I got to get surgery on my foot. Okay, you can be in a Pro Bowl, alternate type stuff. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I just don't understand it. I don't get it. No one cares about the Pro Bowl at all. And they can be, man, they so content out there, man. They so content out there with that nonsense, man. Man, they know that's some nonsense, man. Like, man, the reporters know it's nonsense, the NFL know it's nonsense, and the players know it's nonsense. Now I get that these are $1 million individuals out here. Like, they worth a lot of money. You don't want to see them trip. You don't want to see them fall. You don't want, like, all these different things, taking unnecessary punishment. I get all that. I understand that. But if we're going to do that, if we're not going to play the game that is being played on Sundays, don't play at all. Like, just have that as your tag, like Pro Bowler, all pro. Just like it is with all pro, you're a Pro Bowler. Get the phone call, no game being played. It just goes with you as a badge of honor. Maybe you didn't make all pro, but you made the Pro Bowl. because you had a stellar season. But going out there, like, think about this. You busting your tail and going out there scoring all these touchdowns for the right to play flag football in Orlando. Play dodgeball. Like, come on, man. Get slimed. And hey, come on, man. What are we doing? What are we doing? Where we at? Universal Studios. I was watching YouTube Sunday and not the WAC Bowl. Man, I wasn't interested. Like I said, I went out with my wife and my son. Funny, yeah. It was just on TV. I'm like, man, what the heck is going on? Crazy. Maybe I wasn't on TJ, but what you think about Cam not getting Walter Payton Man of the Year? I think is BS. Yeah, man. That's the final topic we're gonna talk about. It's a good segue right there, man. Drummer. I actually wanted to talk about that very earlier in the show. So for those that probably wondering where that's at, it's gonna, be a while, but hopefully the entertainment here on the State of the Saints podcast kept you here. 193 people watching this right now. Please hit the like button. I'm gonna keep on saying that, man, because I want to make sure that we getting these likes up. We got 84 likes, 192 people watching this right now. But the way that I think about what happened to Cam Jordan on Thursday night, man, what a travesty. First off, I know I can't be the only one that felt this way. To introduce the Walter Payton Man of the Year, multi-time All-Pro, Saints legend, Drew Brees. All right, man. Yeah. Drew Brees, okay, we're in the city, all right. And I want to bring somebody out here that, that exemplifies everything that the Walter Payton Man of the Year is all about. Steve Gleason. Oh, snap, man. You got Steve Gleason and Drew Brees out here? Oh, man. In New Orleans Super Bowl, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that when they showed that film, that it wasn't going to be about Cam Jordan. I was like, okay, man, they about to make Cam this Walter Payton man. Man, they about to, I was excited. I was excited, man, because we know what Cam Jordan does in the community. Cam Jordan has been going to schools throughout the New Orleans community every single Tuesday for 14 years. Rain, shine, sleet, snow, he in that thing. Cam Jordan is so embedded in the New Orleans community till it ain't even funny. Cam Jordan literally can be just right. You don't know what Cam Jordan roll up at a brother's gas station somewhere. He's embedded in a community and he works hard. And it's not just, I feel bad because it's not like he doing that for this award. He's doing it because he cares. And you have a veteran, a face of the league. Like Cam Jordan has transitioned to not only just a face of the Saints franchise, but one of the faces of the NFL. Like you see him on nationally televised commercials that don't even have anything to do with Saints football. He just so happened to be that NFL ambassador that they'll probably select to do these commercials. Like he is on that level. And I just felt like, man, this was a great moment in New Orleans, 14-year veteran that that deserves this award. Not to say that Eric Armstead didn't. Congratulations to him. I'm not saying that at all. All those guys deserve to be on that stage. They deserve that. But all I'm saying is for them to set it up that way, only for them to call out Eric Armstead, unbelievable. And maybe it was because the way that they set it up, they just made it look like, okay, man, this is about to happen. And the fact that he ended up winning, he won an award, a few I want to say last month, for what he does in the community. Tony Dungy, the legendary coach, ended up presenting it to him via satellite. His family was in the room and all that kind of stuff. And I just felt bad for him, man. I know, look, Cam is a class act. After that, he was gracious. He thanked everybody. He was talking about how great of a time he had. he's not gonna, you know what I'm saying? He's not gonna come out here and just say, oh man, this is just jacked up or whatever like that. It's not gonna do it. So I'm gonna do it for him. And Cam Jordan, if you watching it right now, you just so happen to be on YouTube, on X or whatever like that. Thank you, man. Thank you for what you're doing. Like it's not in vain. Like the Walter Payton Man of the Year award is a prestigious award. Don't get me wrong. I know what Walter Payton means. I went to the college that Walter Payton went to, Jackson State University. So I know what he means, you know what I'm saying, and what his name means. I done balled out a many a days at the Walter Payton Center. I done worked out a many a days at the Walter Payton Center when I was at Jackson State. Well, I won't say that because it was probably how old I am. Walter Payton Center been around almost 20 years, and I think they built it when I was in my sophomore year. But all in all I'm saying is I know how important it is. But he may not have won a Walter Payton Man of the Year, but he's definitely New Orleans Man of the Year. And we appreciate the effort that you put in, man, because we know that you really care about the community. So big ups to Cam Jordan. Hopefully next year they'll get his man his respect, put some respect on his man name, and give him that Walter Payton Man of the Year award because he deserves it. Linda, I don't care if the Saints get respect from anyone. I respect the Saints. Yeah, man, I don't know. I just feel like, man, okay, Super Bowl in New Orleans, you got a all-pro, multi-time Pro Bowler and Jari Evans. You can't get that man up in that thing. Like, what we doing, man? I'm sorry, Cam. You deserve it, and thank you for what you do. Love you, Cam. What was happening, TJ? What's going on, Cartel? Appreciate you for being here. I got to close with this, folks. Somebody that I saw on social media, I saw their tweet. I wish I can remember this person's name, so I want to give them this credit. But they had a very interesting point. You know, during this Super Bowl week, as we wind down, getting close to the game, know a lot of people are excited about that. I noticed that you had a lot of New Orleans Saints players and leaders, the guys that are synonymous with the team and showing up, being around and taking a part in Super Bowl week. You know, being those ambassadors, welcoming all these other NFL players and media individuals to the city of New Orleans. You know, I seen Blake Groupie, you know, making his rounds. I seen Demario Davis making his rounds. I know Matt Moscona was marking out in his mind. I know he was when he had the interview because I know how much he loved Demario Davis. But he was making his rounds. Then you got Cam Jordan making his rounds. Now, we also seen Spencer Rattler making his rounds. I mean, it was kind of funny not to see a certain individual that is the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints not be in that number, no pun intended. And I'm talking about Derek Carr. Now, some people would probably look at this and be like, oh, man, this is no big deal. Cartel, thank you very much. Mark Ingram as well, legendary Saint as well. I know some people like, man, is it that big of a deal? It actually is. And to me, this is the reason why Saints fans have a tough time embracing Derek Carr and have had a difficult time embracing Derek Carr. Now, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's taking place, but all I know is it probably would have been a good look, a better look, if the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, who is still under contract until the Saints do something different, showed up in New Orleans, maybe take part in some of the activity, walking around. I don't know what Spencer Rattler, what was Spencer Rattler? I don't know. Was he advertising something? Or he just so happened to be there? I'm just saying, I mean, seeing JT Gray off in that thing, seeing Bink off in that thing, like, that is the issue I feel like Saints fans have with Derek Carr. It seems like you do the right things, say the right things, all that stuff, blase, but that's what the reason why people feel like it looks disingenuous. I'm just saying, like it wasn't a good look. That's all I'm saying. It wasn't a good look. I don't know who advised them. I don't know. Maybe he had something going on. I don't know what the heck was happening, but all I know is you're in New Orleans. New Orleans has a football team. You're a starting quarterback. Why weren't you there? I'm just wondering. Chris Olave was there too. I forgot about that. Like I said, there were several New Orleans Saints players that were there. I didn't see no Derek Carr. So I don't know, man. That wasn't a good look, though, especially like you being the starting quarterback of the team. Am I wrong for feeling that way? Am I wrong for feeling that way? Am I reaching? Because I know sometimes people say, man, TJ, sound like you reach. I want to know, am I reaching? What, like, don't you like expect to see the starting quarterback, which a lot of people would look at the face of the franchise, be in that respected city? Like, if you are in, I don't know, Santa Clara, I feel like Brock Purdy needs to be somewhere around, right? If Super Bowl in Kansas City, Pat Mahomes being around, if he ain't playing in a game, which is, kind of rare. All I'm saying is, like, I feel like if you are that face of the franchise, you're that starting quarterback, you should have been there. And he wasn't. And I guarantee you, Spencer Rattler won more goodwill by him showing up and being there. And it basically just kind of reinforced people's belief in this dude and want to see him succeed because he actually showed up versus, Derek Carr, who didn't show up. So I just think that I feel like somebody should have advised him to maybe, want to show face, like be there. That's all I'm saying. I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm out of pocket, but I feel like dude should have been in that number. Not at all, TJ. I feel like he should have been there too. And yes, your quarterback should be there happy and ecstatic. I seen more of Winston than Carr. Yeah, we seen a bunch of like old Saints. We seen Drew Brees walking around that joint. Shoot, Jameis Winston walking around that joint. So man, I don't know, man. I mean, Jameis Winston, man, he pretty much stole Super Bowl week, man. He basically stole it. Like, Jameis Winston has basically set up a blank check for himself for life outside of football. Like, there's going to be a network that is going to want him, and they're going to say, here's the check, write a number on it. Like, he is like, and here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it. Like him, the way that he plays, or he throws too many interceptions, yada, yada, yada. You know the reason why people like gravitate toward Jameis Winston so much? Because he is genuinely that person. Like, that is who he is. Like, and you can't fake that. You can't fake it. You cannot fake that type of personality. Like, that's why, to me, like he won Super Bowl week. He put himself like in a position where he gonna end up being on like College Game Day, being a color commentator somewhere, probably in a studio. Like, there is no way in the world Jameis Winston won't be on somebody's television when his football career is all said and done. There's no way. There's no way. A network is going to pull up to his home, or they're going to set something up with his agent, and they're going to put a blank check on the table and tell him to write a number on there. He won Super Bowl week. And he won Super Bowl week by being himself. It's amazing what can happen like when you're yourself, right? When you bet on yourself and you believe in yourself and you're comfortable within your own skin, it's amazing the great things that can happen in your life. But I'm happy for the man. I'm happy for him. Like I said, whether you a fan of his quarterback play or not, you gotta like what you see. He's a genuine person. So, all right, but let me go ahead. I'll just go ahead and end it there, man. My final thoughts are very simple. Hope everybody enjoys the Super Bowl. We'll be back on Sunday for the pre and post game show. Those will be streaming across 3 different platforms: Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast, Bleacher Report, as well as on YouTube on the State of Saints podcast channel. It's going across 3 platforms, ladies and gentlemen. Going to be exciting. Going to be able to talk and break down the Super Bowl, getting you all ready for the Super Bowl. Probably going to be doing a live reaction during a halftime show, just to get people's reaction about what they thought about the Kendrick Lamar concert there for the halftime. Man, we're going to be jam-packed, man. I'm excited to bring it to you, man. I'm excited to bring it to you. I want to see a really good game. I want to be able to, sit back and just eat some of my wife's hot wings, and enjoy the football game, man, and talk football with you all too. And I hope you have a good weekend, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. This has been a State of the Saints podcast. For those that may not know, my name is Timothy J. Jones. State of the Saints podcast has been around since 2018. Have over 1,200 episodes here. We do interviews. We do live reactions. We do little parody songs from time to time. It's all about having a good time. It's all about connecting with the Who Dat Nation and just having fun in the process. You can subscribe to the channel if you're into that type of stuff. Also, you can follow me on X at TJAYJones8. Also on Blue Sky at TJAYJones8. And check out Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones every Wednesday at 7 p.m. But we will be doing the Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones on a special night on Monday night, a special episode, because I would assume that they want me to do this live on a Monday because they know more than likely the Saints are going to announce Kellen Moore as their head coach. So that's them setting that up. All right. The Bleacher Report, like they working with the NFL. So y'all know what that means. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what that means. They probably got the little inside scoop on that thing, but a special night Monday at 7 p.m. on Bleacher Report. Episodes of Saints Talk with Timothy J. Jones will be available on Bleacher Report, as well as the YouTube channel that's going to be coming really, really soon. NFC South Roundtable, of course, there's some a video that's going to be put up, I want to say today or maybe tomorrow, me doing the 2024 Saints reviewing the 2024 season for the New Orleans Saints. Talk maybe like 15 minutes about what happened and what I feel like the Saints can do to try to improve. So make sure you check that out as well. Thank you all so much. We're not going to have an outro today, but, just want to say till next time, all I got to say is